Hey everybody, good evening. Welcome to Detox tonight. And if you're going to be joining us, if you have a yoga block, please have your yoga block with you. If you don't, you can always use a couple pillows or have a blanket nearby that you can use to pad your body in some of the positions. If it's your first time to Detox, it's a bit of a contrast and pretty much the opposite end of the spectrum if you're used to flow yoga or vinyasa yoga. So we're going to sit in the positions for a little bit uh, longer actually, but all of the poses are passive. You're not really holding on with any strength. And so it's a different interpretation through your body. It's going to have you feeling a bit heavier, grounded for sure, but then light upon the release, and especially at the end of the practice. So, and stay with it when you're in the poses, even though you may feel like you want to move or come out of them. And do the best that you can to stay in the poses. Hi, Nat. What's going on? I went up to the studio today to water the plants. That was a break from the norm and something different than the routine. I've pretty much been staying home most of the time. So heading up to the studio, and it's just a trip, man. The space is so quiet. Just being in the parking lot, and there's no cars in the parking lot, and you're still seeing traffic and people moving up and down. I drive up La Brea to get to the studio, so there's still plenty of people, and that part feels normal. But as you see and you pass by all of these businesses and establishments that have been closed, and now we're coming up on 2 months of being closed. Um, it's you can definitely feel it. But saw a couple familiar faces walking by, which was cool and just made me crave, I think, even more seeing everybody in person, coming back into the studio one day. We'll get there. Hi, Terry. Elizabeth, Leslie, welcome you guys. One thing I wanted to mention is that even after the quarantine is over and we're able to go back to the studio, we do plan to continue the live stream classes. And I don't know exactly what that's going to look like yet, but I do feel that it's going to be a class once a day, and it'll be available during the live stream, obviously. And then the same way we're doing it now, where if you can't make it to the live practice, there will be the recorded practice with the playlist posted every single day. So this whole process, it was already inspired, I think, through the vision of the studio to be able to offer something, but this process has definitely connected us across the country and across the globe, and there's many people, I think, that are, practicing with us now, and I don't want that to have to stop. So, and then when you visit LA, hopefully you can come see us and take a class in the hot room with us. So that is what we're looking at, and how we're hoping to continue this even once the studio is back up and running. And Chandrea, Emily, good evening. And if you're wondering why I'm sitting in Los Angeles with a long sleeve shirt, it's really not cold out at all, and a winter hat. It's because the mosquitoes have been loving me. Normally they don't like me that much, but they've been loving me the last few days, even this morning. And I apologize if you were on this morning and the live stream cut out at about quarter to 11. Um, I was able to finish the recording of that class, so the completion of the class is out there. But not only were the mosquitoes attacking me, and some people were commenting like the mosquitoes got him because my camera spun out, but I also got stung by a bee. while we were practicing. Haven't been stung by a bee in, gee, I don't even know how long. And I was like, ooh, that mosquito's really getting me right now. And then it persisted, and I was like, okay, maybe that's not a mosquito. And then it was still there. And I think at some point, I can't remember when, I just reached down on the back of my leg, and I could feel the stinger, and it was sticking out enough, and I was able to just pull it out. But yeah, what a treat. Get stung by a bee. Ari, what's up, brother? Erica. Yes, thank you. We will continue the live streams. It's it's working out. I think it's those of us that love and appreciate that connection, obviously in the hot room, but with each other. But say even, you know how life is, and things start moving again, and sometimes it's difficult to get across town or go to the studio. So this could even connect people, in Santa Monica and Silver Lake, in North Hollywood, to our community, and then we can continue to expand that, and then when you're passing by, you can come by and take a class. But I think it'll be cool to see what consistency can do, as it's taught us so much already during this quarantine. Hey, Biz. Thank you. You got stung twice, Terry? Oh my gosh. Well, I looked up the symbolism of the bee. So if you just type in bee symbolism on Google, you might be pleasantly surprised. These are all positive, affirmative explanations when these things cross our paths. But it was a nice surprise. So check that out. I posted it on my Instagram story as well. Hi, Keeney. All right, so we can get settled. I'm going to go ahead and start the live stream on the Earbuds Music app if you're following along. And if you're playing the tracks along on Spotify, go ahead and start your playlist now. Let's make sure those of you that are jumping on the live stream are able to join. Hi, Amy. Hey, Roz. Good evening. Late detox on the East Coast. Thank you so much for staying up. And we're all about to wind down, so this is a great way to wind down the day, especially if you had an emotional day today, and say that there's emotions that come up in your practice. I hope you trust the process enough at this point, even if it's your first time, if you've been invited to this practice, to let those emotions roll through you. And some of these moments can be so intense that we're going through, and so many different ways of getting wrapped up in the energy of our mind and our thoughts, and start going down the pigeonhole. Hey, Derek, what's up, bud? Let's start in Shavasana tonight. Lie down onto your back. Set any of your props off to the side if you have a block or pillows. And those of you that have been to the studio before, I'm actually going to put out and invite you to join me in putting out some energy for the studio, because I could really feel when I went there today how hollow it is. But the one thing that is thriving in the lobby, we have this, what we call the Tree of Life. It's a symbol of all of our loved ones that are no longer with us, and I've invited students and really anybody in the community that would like to invest their energy, right, and their loved ones into the tree of life. And, while the space is hollow, the tree of life was going off. There was like it's a fig tree, six new leaves. It's bigger than it ever was before. So I thought that was a um, cool thing to observe in the polarity of the hollow space. But then the tree of life just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And once you're on your back, bring the soles of your feet together. Let your knees fall apart. And we'll set up in a reclining butterfly. If you want to roll your hips under and flatten your low back, you can do that. And that might help you feel to stretch a little bit more through your inner thighs, your hip flexors. And go ahead and rest in the back. And feel the weight of your head. Close your eyes. And let out a few deep breaths, and so that you can feel some of the mental energy soften. And you may find the deeper and the more that you connect, the more emotions that you have. And let's just relax here, soften in stillness, and have a great practice tonight, everybody. And let the lips relax. And the jaw can relax. And then you might feel your cheeks relax right around your cheekbones. And go ahead and slowly bring your knees back up towards each other. And you'll feel your inner thighs soften, a little bit more space and towards your groin and the base of your pelvis. And let's scoot the hips over a little bit to the right, and so that you can roll onto your left hip. And we'll start in the left side body stretch. And so come up onto your left elbow. Place it so it's underneath your shoulder and your forearm is going across the mat to support you. And straighten your bottom leg, which is your left leg, and then straighten your top leg, which is your right leg. And so the elbow's enough right here, and we're going to let the rib cage fall down. So the shoulder is actually going to shrug up. And it's more of your right ear towards your right shoulder, but you're not forcing it. And then let your chin settle down towards your chest. And I want to remind you, or if I haven't told you before, yin is a cooling practice. And so those of you that carry the caliente, the heat, in your personality, in your drive and your motivation, then this is the practice and that you should take to meet balance. And you can still do the flows, you can still get fired up. But if you know these things about yourself, then this is the practice that can cool you down so that you can meet your midpoint or balance. And if there's anything you need to be a little bit more comfortable here, make sure you're feeling this in your left side body and opening the muscles in between. They're called your intercostal muscles. And then you can go ahead and close your eyes. And whether it's the physical sensation and the emotions that you may feel or the thoughts that you have, and ride all of them like waves, like you're surfing on waves. And the understanding is that the water is the sensation, the water is the emotion, the water is or are the thoughts. And they're moving. They're underneath you, and then your awareness is the surfboard. And skimming over the sensations, the emotions, and the thoughts. And then there's your present self on top of the surfboard. So if you've always wondered what I'm talking about when I'm saying ride the wave, and there's a little bit deeper of a description. Hope it makes sense. And if you explore this in its vagueness, and you realize that it doesn't matter what the sensation is. It's just a sensation. It doesn't matter what the emotion is. It's any emotion across the spectrum. And then certainly it doesn't matter what the thoughts are or what they're attached to. It's any thought that may appear through your beautiful mind. And you may be having a secondary, pretty intense sensation in your left shoulder. If you are, it's okay. And keep letting the ribs get heavy and the shoulder shrug towards the ear. And we'll spend about 90 more seconds on this side. use your right hand onto the mat. And let's bend the top leg and then bend the bottom leg in so that your knees are stacked once again. And to release this, bend your legs in so you're in the fetal position. And then you're going to turn the torso down into the mat. And so coming into a twist. Just turn your chest down into the mat and stack your palms. And then let your forehead come down on your top hand, probably your left hand. And let your chest get heavy here. You might feel some of this in your belly on the right side of your belly. And kind of underneath the inside of your rib cage. And if it's just too tight and you're like, whoa, wasn't expecting that, then you put your stack underneath you, your block or your blanket or your pillows. And start higher into a place where you can rest. When you release the body, you release the mind. And it doesn't mean that there's not a lot going on. Continue to ride the waves, and physically, emotionally, and mentally. But when you release the body, you're going to release the mind, and simultaneously. So don't be surprised if in the stillness or the silence or the idea of silence actually turns up the ability for you to see things a bit more clearly. And see things that you haven't seen in a while. There's some confrontation that is pretty normal. And as you navigate coming out of this incredible pause, You take it nice and slow as you start to lift your head. You make your way up to your elbows. And once you get to your elbows, slide your right knee back, and so it's touching the bottom of your left heel. And then walk your right hand in closer, bring your left hand in closer. And if you need to scoot yourself up your mat a little bit, you can. And then you've got your right knee and touching the bottom of your left heel. And sit upright, nice and tall. And you can reach with your right hand, tuck your right foot all the way, and so that the top of your right foot is resting into the mat, so your ankle is extended. And your right knee is deeply flexed, and your thigh is stacked right over top of your calf. And keeping your left sit bone heavy, now start to crawl your hands out over your left shin. And don't even worry about where you are on your mat. And take your hands a little bit wider, and they're there to support and to keep you balanced as you bring your torso forward. And then eventually you can come down onto your stack, or you can come down and place your elbows onto the ground. And once you're here, let your head hang heavy, please. And chin to your chest, maybe a little sigh. And some letting as you go deeper into your outer left hip. And around your bum into your glute. Maybe a little in your hamstring. You soften your belly and relax through your shoulders, especially if you're feeling a lot of tightness underneath your shoulder blades. And let's continue to drop into this one. As you sit in this pose, and consider the last time that you thanked yourself. And we can be really good at thanking others and accepting others, but think of the last time that you gave yourself some love and thanks and gratitude and understanding and patience. And see if through these detox experiences you may already have the love connection in place with yourself, but if you don't, or if you believe that it could be greater, then detox is a great place to forge and dive in a little bit deeper into that relationship. relax the jaw, fall all the way in into this shape for the last minute. You notice that there's always a little bit more room. And there's always a little bit more space. And so look into your body versus engaging everything with your mind. See if your body can start to and share with you a different perspective and a different outlook. A humble being. And keep the head heavy and start to come back up onto your right hand. And then your left hand, take it slow. And as we walk the hands back and the torso comes up, and go ahead and bring your right leg around in front of you. And you're going to do a little swivel on your bum and walking your feet all the way around. And so you're turning your torso in the opposite direction on your mat. And then go ahead and lie down onto your back, please. And so we've turned ourselves 180 degrees. And let our legs stretch out. And rest your arms in any shape that feels comfortable. And let's feel the rebound here. Go ahead and soften. It might feel good to take an empty breath. And again, the empty breath is an inhale to the top. And retain that breath for 3 seconds, which means hold it in your body. And then exhale all the air out of your mouth until your lungs are empty. And that's the empty breath. And then you can just soften and feel the vibrations and the energy in your body flowing. And I give you all some space in explaining that a bad day or an intense day or an emotion or a thought or a physical sensation is just that. You don't have to compare your bad day into somebody else's bad day. You allow it to be relevant into what's going on through you. It's the only way that we can practice Alright, bring yourself back to your body if you drifted and bend your legs, feet flat. And let's go ahead and roll over onto your right hip. And come up onto your right forearm, tuck the elbow or set the elbow underneath your shoulder. And so you got the forearm going across the mat. And then straighten your bottom leg now, which is your right leg. And then straighten your top leg, and so they stack. And you have your elbow a little bit further up versus back, so there's space for your ribs to expand and move towards the earth. You should feel that going all the way down the right side body, especially If you've been doing some shallow breathing or stressful breathing, you wouldn't know it necessarily. But when you get here, you'll feel it, and then it'll start to unravel itself through your mind. You'll be like, oh. And then again, you'll go, oh, got it. Okay, more left ear towards left shoulder, and then chin and can rest towards your chest. Feel free to close your eyes. About 90 seconds on this side. All right, be with these sensations and then start to bend your top leg. And bend your bottom leg, and so that you're back in the fetal position with your lower body. And then to release this, just go ahead and turn down onto your chest. A little twist. Stack your palms, probably your right hand on top, and then let your forehead come down to rest. Make any little adjustments that you need to. Keep the outer right hip heavy. If it's just too intense with your forehead down, you can always turn to the right side of your head and rest. And what a beautiful night to be practicing yoga. And take your time and feel all the energy as you make your way out of the twist. Float your head and come back onto your elbows. And no rush. As you're on your elbows, slide your left knee to the bottom of your right heel. And so you get your legs set up and then walk up to your palms. As your torso is coming upright, if you need to scoot up the mat a bit, and then reach down for your left shin and tuck the top of that foot. And so your ankle is stacked on top of your left foot. Knees flat on the mat, and your left thigh is stacked right over your left calf. And you might have to play with some padding here if it's really uncomfortable in your knees. And find a position relative that'll work for you. So a light thigh stretch, and then we're going to get into the outer hip as we start to bring the hands forward. And you can stay up on your hands anywhere out in front of your right shin. And you're welcome to set your stack or come all the way down onto your elbows. And go ahead and release the chin, heavy head.
If you are feeling a lot of tightness, just separate your lips, stick out your tongue, let out a little sigh, and so that you're not gripping and holding on to that tightness that you might be feeling in your body. And stay in the shape and continue to ride the waves, and should they appear. It's all we can do. If you're going to drop any further last minute, and go all the way. And keep your head heavy, go slow, and start to come back up onto your hands, please. And as your head comes up, take your left hand down to untuck your left foot. And then let's Let's stay in this direction so we don't have to turn ourselves again. And lie down onto your back. Feel the release. Let your legs go long. Take your arms in any shape. And feel heavy in your back. Open across your chest and your shoulders. Relax your toes. And close your eyes. It might feel nice to take one empty breath here. Inhale to the top. Hold it for 3 seconds. And then exhale till your lungs are completely empty. And it's through your exhale that you're detoxifying. The actual exhale. And that air that is coming out of your body is releasing toxicity. And you may just simply feel happy right now. Or content. Or peaceful. And then feel your entire body. Take your arms over your head. And point your toes. And reach up and stretch. See how tall you feel here. And then keep your arms up. Bend your legs. And then let's roll through your right side. And come around to all fours, and we're going to set up a seal pose. And so your body's ready for it, and set up on all fours. And take your hands wider than your shoulders, and turn your middle fingers out about 45 degrees. Arms are straight, and they stay straight. And without using strength, separate your knees and your feet a little bit wider. You just got to kind of play with what you're feeling in your low back. And then your legs are straight, and release the hips down towards the ground. And keep your chin close to your chest. And as your arms stay straight, and your shoulders are going to shrug. And so the deeper you get into the pose, the arms stay straight, but the ears and the shoulders actually get closer together. And if you came into it and it just didn't feel right, make some adjustments. Take your knees a little bit wider. Maybe slide your toes back a little bit further. And if at this point you're like, this is just not happening, and then do the variation of this pose down on your elbows. And it's like what we did to our side bodies, but now we're doing it to our front body, underneath our rib cage. And then let's begin to settle here. You're welcome to close your eyes.
Relax the jaw, relax the tongue. Be with the sensations, be with the emotion, and be with your thoughts. And the surfboard is your awareness. And there you are, sitting on top of the surfboard in your present self. And last 30 seconds. You can do anything for 30 seconds. 20. 10. And you want to make sure there's no jerky actions coming out of this. And so keep your hands firm and slowly start to draw your belly in as you transfer more weight into your knees. And draw your belly in. And tailbone pulls underneath you. Nice and slow, belly in, tailbone under. And keep your belly in enough until you come all the way back in child's pose. Big toes together. Your knees about hip width apart. And then walk your hips all the way back onto your heels. And come down onto your elbows. You can stack your palms and then let your forehead rest on your top hand, please. You may have just woken up a monster in your low back of emotion. But it's not a scary monster, it's just sometimes things that we bury. And so if you're finding or if you're meeting something that you thought was gone but you actually buried it, then that would be a beautiful moment to connect and to relate through here right now. And learn in the teaching, some moments are going to challenge you and be more intense than others. And through the consistency of your practice, and you may find the natural process in where you're not comparing or contrasting, you're living in the moment.
And you can start to lift your head and bring your hands out in front and come all the way back up into a tabletop. And let's take a beat. Spread your fingertips wide. And then see what all this feels like in a down dog tonight. Take it slow on an exhale. Tuck your toes. And then move your hips up and back. You might feel nice in slow motion to pedal out your down dog. Bend one knee. And bend the other knee. And with your head here below your heart, let's take an empty breath. Fill up your lungs. And at the top of your inhale, hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Sigh. Exhale all the air out of your body until your lungs are completely empty. Okay, on empty, close your eyes, come down onto your knees, and try not to take your next breath in. Keep the lungs empty. And sit back onto your heels, hands on your thighs, head above your heart, on empty. And then you can inhale, fill your lungs up, and feel your chest expand. And then go ahead and exhale all the air out of your body once again. Feel the shoulder. And let your breath return into its natural state. The sensations, the emotions, the thoughts are all underneath the surfboard of awareness. Your awareness. Your most present self is sitting on top of that surfboard. And you are riding all of the waves. And keep your eyes relaxed, and when you're ready, you're welcome to have something to drink. And then we'll make our way onto our backs in our final resting pose tonight, Shavasana. And turn in whichever direction you would like. And let your legs go long. Release your arms by your sides. What a beautiful Sunday evening it's been, and sharing the practice with all of you. As you lie down, make yourself comfortable. If you want a pillow, or we can introduce the practice I mentioned this morning, the canopy of grapevines that continue to grow over me in the garden. It feels like I'm being kind of wrapped into a cocoon, so you can mimic that, and it's symbolic of new life and new meaning and new perspective. If you lie in your Shavasana and take a blanket and pull it all the way over you, all the way over your face, all the way over your body. You see, separation is actually a great teaching tool.
And so if you can honor some separation from your responsibilities and the attachments and things that you believe for the next few minutes while you're in Shavasana, and you allow yourself to explore and see what that feels like. And even though we're transitioning here from the live stream platform, I always encourage you to stay in your Shavasana and absorb the benefits of your practice, and for as long as you like, especially because you're in the comforts of your own home. You have nowhere else to be. And so if you can stay here for 5, perhaps 10, 15, even 20 minutes, stay. I want to thank you all so much for sharing the practice. If you have anything that you'd like to share, please reach out. And you can always email me. You can message me on Instagram. And I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow morning for our 10 a.m. flow practice. Have a nice rest and take good care of yourself and, of course, of each other. And have a beautiful night, everybody. Namaste.